The human body cannot survive without sleep. Medical science is clear on this. After 11 days without sleep, the brain begins to shut down. Hallucinations, organ failure, death. This is not a theory, it is biological fact. So when 16-year-old Mia Calloway stopped sleeping entirely in the autumn of 2021, and did not die, her doctors had no explanation. She did not sleep for 94 days, not a single minute, not a single second. And what she saw during those 94 nights of darkness, standing in the corner of her bedroom, watching her, waiting, was something that her doctors could not explain either. Because whatever it was that kept Mia Calloway awake, it did not want her to sleep. It needed her to watch. This is her story. Mia Calloway was by every account a perfectly ordinary teenage girl. She lived with her mother Karen and younger brother Theo in a small 2-story house in Denton, Texas. She was a junior in high school. She liked drawing, horror movies, the irony of that would not be lost on her later, and spending Saturday mornings at the farmer's market with her mother. She slept 8 hours every night without fail. Her mother described her as the deepest sleeper she had ever known. Nothing woke Mia, not thunderstorms, not her brother's noise, not her alarm half the time. Sleep was never something Mia thought about. It was simply something that happened. Natural, easy, safe. Until the night of October the 3rd, 2021. Mia went to bed at her normal time, 10:30 p.m. She turned off her lamp, she closed her eyes, and something opened its eyes back. She felt it before she saw it. A pressure in the room, a change in the air, the way the atmosphere shifts before a storm. Heavy, electric, wrong. She opened her eyes in the darkness, and in the far corner of her bedroom, where the shadows were deepest, it was standing there. She told her therapist later that her first thought was not fear. Her first thought was simply, that is not supposed to be there. It was tall, too tall, its head nearly touching the ceiling, which was 8 feet high, thin, completely still, no features she could make out, just a shape, a presence, an absence of light, where light should have been. She stared at it for what felt like hours. It stared back. When dawn light came through her curtains, it was gone. Mia got up, went to school, and said nothing to anyone. She was a rational girl. She had been half asleep. It was a shadow, a dream fragment. She believed that for exactly one more night. The second night, it was closer. Not in the corner this time. Beside her desk, maybe 8 feet from her bed. Same impossible height. Same absolute stillness. Same feeling of being watched by something that had been watching for a very long time. Mia turned on her lamp. The room was empty. She turned the lamp off. It was back. She turned the lamp on again. Empty. Off. Back. On. Empty. Off. Back. It existed only in darkness. Only when the light was gone. She slept with every light in her room blazing that night, and the night after, and the night after that. But here is what nobody tells you about sleeping with the lights on. It doesn't work. Not really. Not when your brain is primed for terror. Not when every time you feel yourself drifting towards sleep, some animal part of you jolts awake, certain that the moment your eyes close, something will move. By the end of the first week, Mia had slept perhaps 4 hours in total. Her mother noticed. Karen was a practical woman, a nurse, trained to observe. She saw the shadows under her daughter's eyes, the tremor in her hands at breakfast, the way Mia's gaze kept drifting to the corners of rooms. "What's wrong?" Karen asked on the 7th morning. Mia almost told her. She opened her mouth, then she imagined how it would sound. "There's a shadow in my room, Mom. It watches me. It only appears in the dark." She closed her mouth. "Bad dreams," she said. Karen bought her melatonin and chamomile tea. She had no idea that her daughter had stopped dreaming entirely, because to dream, you first have to sleep. And Mia Calloway had stopped sleeping. By the 3rd week, things had changed. The figure was no longer just watching. It was communicating, not in words, not in sounds, in something more direct than that. Thoughts that arrived in Mia's mind fully formed, like memories of things that hadn't happened yet. She would be sitting in her dark bedroom, shaking, staring at the shape in the corner, and a thought would simply appear. "It has always been here. You are the only one who can see it." Or, and this was the one that terrified her most, "It was here before the house." She started researching. Sleep deprivation causes hallucinations. She knew this. She was a smart girl. She understood the rational explanation perfectly well. But rational explanations don't account for what happened on the night of October the 29th. Mia was sitting on her bed, back against the headboard, knees to her chest, lights blazing. It was 2 a.m. She had been awake for 61 hours straight. Her lamp flickered, once, twice, then every light in her room went out simultaneously. The darkness lasted 4 seconds. 4 seconds in which Mia could not breathe, could not move, could not think. In those 4 seconds, the figure crossed the room. When the lights came back on, it was standing at the foot of her bed, 3 feet away, close enough that if it had a hand, It could have reached out and touched her. Mia screamed. The first time she had screamed in 3 weeks of terror, because something about it being that close, that real, that present, broke through every rational defense she had built. Karen came running, found her daughter pressed against the headboard, white as paper, pointing at the foot of the bed. Nothing was there, but the temperature at the foot of Mia's bed, Karen said later, was 15 degrees colder than the rest of the room. That night Karen made an appointment with a doctor, and then, quietly, without telling Mia, she made a second appointment with a paranormal investigator named Dr. Elaine Marsh. Dr. Elaine Marsh was not what Karen had expected. She was 58 years old, with a PhD in psychology from Johns Hopkins, and a secondary background in parapsychology, that had cost her 2 academic positions and 1 marriage. She was precise, clinical, and deeply skeptical of everything, including herself. She spent 3 hours with Mia on a Tuesday afternoon. She did not bring ghost hunting equipment. She brought a notepad, a voice recorder, and a thermometer. She asked Mia to describe the figure in exact detail: height, position, movement, the thoughts it seemed to transmit. Then she asked one question that nobody had asked before. Does it seem afraid of you? Mia stared at her. No, I don't think so. Does it seem angry? No. What does it seem? Dr. Marsh asked. Mia thought about it for a long time. Urgent, she finally said, like it's trying to show me something, like it needs me to understand something before. She stopped. Before what? Dr. Marsh said quietly. Before it's too late. Dr. Marsh stayed in the house for 2 nights with monitoring equipment. On the second night, at 3:17 a.m., every electromagnetic sensor in the room spiked simultaneously. The temperature dropped 22 degrees in under a minute. And drive. Marsh, a woman who had spent 30 years investigating paranormal claims, and debunking most of them, said she saw something in the corner of Mia's room. She wrote in her notes only this: not a hallucination, not a known phenomenon, something that should not exist, and does. On the morning of day 94, Mia woke up, not from sleep. She hadn't slept. She simply came back to herself, sitting in her bedroom chair, as dawn filled the room with gray light. The corner was empty, not just empty the way it was when she turned on a lamp, empty in a different way, permanently empty. The pressure that had filled that corner for 94 days was simply gone, like something had finally been resolved. Mia slept for 19 hours straight that day. She never saw the figure again. Dr. Marsh spent 2 years studying Mia's case. She published her findings in a private academic paper that was never officially released. The journal that had agreed to publish it withdrew after pressure from sources Dr. Marsh declined to identify. Medical examination confirmed that Mia Calloway had experienced 94 days of total sleep deprivation. Her brain scans, her blood work, her neurological function, all of it should have been catastrophically damaged. None of it was. Her brain was, in the words of the neurologist who examined her, quote, perfectly normal, as if she had simply had a very long night. Mia is 19 years old today. She lives in Austin, Texas. She sleeps 8 hours a night. She told Dr. Marsh in a final interview last year, deep and dreamless, like she always used to. She does, however, leave a light on. Always, she told Dr. Marsh one last thing in that final interview, something she had never told anyone, not even her mother. On the last night, night 94, in the gray or before dawn, when the figure finally disappeared, she understood what it had been trying to show her. The thought arrived in her mind one final time, clear as spoken words. She would not repeat what it said. She told Dr. Marsh only this: I know something now that I didn't know before, something about what comes after, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. This has been a DeStories production. If this story kept you awake tonight, you're not alone. Subscribe, hit the bell, share this with someone who sleeps with the lights on, and tell me in the comments, have you ever seen something in the dark that disappeared when you turned on the light? I read every single one. Good night, sleep well, if you can.